and we will live.
Shame on you. This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
We've got too far! And I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause.
A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
But that's fine. We'll just get tougher with it.
If a person grits his teeth and shows real determination,
failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say we can break this army here.
And win just one for the Gipper.
But I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time.
You've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog mean.
If you would be free men, then you must
Fight to fulfill that promise. Let us
Cut out their living guts
1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do!
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
You're like a big bear, man.
This is your time.
Seize the day.
Never surrender. Victory or death.
That's the Chicago way.
Who's with me?
Clap! Clap! Don't let him die! Clap!
All right, let's fly.
And gentlemen in England, now abed, shall know my name is the Lord. When I tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our Independence Day.
.10 in the morning, 10 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Welcome to this edition of Awake with Jake right here on WLS. Our phone number, as always, 591-8900. You wish to text, you can. Text 68683, and the first thing put in there, WLSAM, and then whatever you want to say. You wish to email, you can. It's jake@WLSAM.com, or you can join our Facebook page. It's Jake Hartford, and just ask to be a member. That's all there is. Now, the show just started, and I have to apologize right off the bat. Can't believe it. You heard that little montage, first of all, at the start. I want you to feel that way when you go into the polls this Tuesday. This is Our Time, whatever Our Time is. I think it was one of them. And if you know all those movies, and you want to call in and tell us what it is, you know what? You're too damn smart for the show. You shouldn't be listening. But I was reminded right before the polka ended, and this is what I have to apologize for, we usually have a little clip in our openings of somebody who's either their birthday or somebody who died, of note. And we totally forgot about James MacArthur. Bury him, Dano. From Hawaii Five-0, the real Hawaii Five-0, not that show they have on now with Jim Belushi. Why does he have another show? What is it? And has he showed up in San Francisco yet to be the Giant fan? It seems like no matter who's playing in the Super Bowl, the World Series, he ends up there as one of the fans. Oh, I've always loved that team. Although if you went to the Giant games this week, there was reports in the outfield that the smell of a certain substance was wafting through the air. Anyway, we forgot about James MacArthur, 72 years of age. His mother, I believe, was Helen Hayes. I met him some years ago. He came through Chicago with her. And very nice gentleman. But that was the original show, the Hawaii Five-0. They're doing a lot of repeats now of things. I take it back. He's not. And now I have to apologize the second time. And the show just started. Jim Belushi is not in Hawaii Five-0. He's in the show Defenders, which is another knockoff of a show that was around years ago. I apologize for that. I just don't like Jim Belushi for some reason. He's in the Defenders. James Caan's kid is in Hawaii Five-0. And there you go. 591-8900 with the is the phone number. If you're on the phone lines, stay there. We will get to you. Paul in Arlington Heights, welcome to the show, sir.
Well, good morning, Jake. Jake, you mentioned about Dano dying, but on a happier subject, because I want to start the show on a happy mood. One of the stars of Happy Days, we know one died last week, but one person is celebrating a birthday today, and that, of course, is Henry Winkler. Turns 65 today.
Are you kidding?
No. How depressing is that? 65. Henry Winkler. Unreal.
Wow. He's in... He has a recurring role in a show on one of the cable channels. It's the one where it's about a concierge doctor up in Long Island.
Well, I never watched that, so
yeah, it's he's in that.
And then also celebrating a birthday today is from the Jefferson Airplane, the lead singer, Grace Slick, turned 71 today.
No.
Yes. Boy, I wonder how many White Rabbits she's seen lately.
I talked to who was it I talked to? You would know more than I would, because you would listen to the show and I would have done the interview and I wouldn't remember. That doesn't make any sense. But I talked to the guy from the Jefferson Airplane last year. Who was that?
Mickey Thompson?
Could be.
Probably, because I know he still has the band together. And in fact, they just played here at our Arlington Heights Frontier Days this last summer. Mickey Thompson and Jefferson Starship, they call themselves.
Maybe it was Mickey Thompson then.
Yeah.
He still lives in San Francisco, does he?
I think so.
Then it was.
and you mentioned San Francisco. I'm glad to see, Jake, that the San Francisco Giants are got such a great start in that World Series, because we don't want any of those San Francisco baseball fans getting depressed and jumping off that Golden Gate Bridge.
No, we don't. Not when they hit the water at 70 miles an hour.
That's right. All right, Jake, have a good weekend.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for starting the show again.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And speaking of the World Series, the Giants are up 2-0. It moves to Texas, and former President Bush is going to throw out the first ball tomorrow night. We're going to see what kind of ovation he gets. Catherine.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Catherine.
Hi.
What can I do for you?
Oh, well, I was just listening to you guys talking about the World Series, and I was just remembering when I first came to America, and I didn't know anything about baseball, and I watched it for hours on TV trying to figure out the rules, and that was the time when the Cubs actually got to, I think, the pennant, it's called. I never watched it after that. So.
What year might that have been?
84.
84. That was the first time they made the playoffs in a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
They lost. They ended up losing 3-2 to the San Diego team.
I don't remember what they ended up with for a record. And then the following year, since I had mastered the rules of baseball, I had watched the football, which I didn't know anything about either. And that was the 85 Bears, which was a lot of fun. The only game I didn't watch that season, because I had a midterm, was the Dolphins game, and that's when they lost. So now my family, whenever they want a team to win, they force me to watch that stuff.
Now, are you going to vote on Tuesday?
Yeah. I'm a naturalized American now, so.
All right. We have a little game we're going to play during the show.
Gosh, but I'm French still in my mind, so I don't know if I'll be able to answer your question.
It's no big deal.
I'll try.
And you know what's very unique about this game is we have no prizes.
Oh, well.
So even if you win, you get nothing.
Well, then I can't lose.
Yeah, so you can't lose. All right, here. This is the game. It's called On the Ballot or NBA Player or On the Ballot or WNBA Player. You know, the WNBA is the Professional Basketball League for women. The NBA is the Professional Basketball League for men. And then On the Ballot. I'm going to give you a name. You tell me if they're on the Illinois statewide ballot or they're a basketball player, okay?
Okay.
Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver.
I'll say it's an NBA.
You're right. He's on the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
See, now if we had a prize, you'd have won something, but we have no prize, so you win nothing.
It's full soup then.
Congratulations for being a citizen, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you go. That's how we do it. 591-8900 is 518. Back after this.
You're listening to Jake Hartford, 890 AM WLS.
In 2010,
News happens here
more taxes,
first.
more unemployment.
When I vote, I'll have a mental picture of my kids. We're going to be voting for our children's children.
My vote will resonate upon the words of our founding fathers.
People have keeping you connected to the stories that matter most.
Good reason to feel frustrated.
890 AM.
They're fighting back.
WLS.
At Porter, we've built our business giving you more. More flights, more legroom, more service. Then we go and build our new terminal at Toronto City Airport and give you less. Less hassle. Our check-in lines are short. Less time wasted. Our gates are closer. Less commute. Because our Toronto terminal's right downtown. And you know what? More and less mean more or less the same thing. You're a happier flyer. Look online at flyporter.com. Porter. Flying refined.
Salagadoola, mitchigaboola, bibbidi-bop.
You must be your fairy godmother. Yes.
It doesn't take a fairy godmother to tell you that the right fit means everything.
Good heavens, child. You can't go in that.
Children under 4'9" need to be in a booster seat because they aren't ready for adult safety belts alone. Many parents miss the important step of booster seats.
Maybe you better explain things to him.
Booster seats raise your child up so that a safety belt designed for adults will fit and protect them properly.
Oh, that does make a difference.
Remember that 4'9" is the magic number. And get your little pumpkin there safely in a booster seat.
Hop in, my dear. Oh, thank you.
And like Cinderella, you can live happily ever after.
It's like a dream. A wonderful dream come true.
For more information, visit boosterseat.gov. This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
WLS is an equal opportunity employer. We would like to widely publicize our job opportunities. Any organization that regularly distributes employment information to job seekers or that refers candidates to prospective employers may ask to be included on our mailing list to receive information about job vacancies. For further information, write to Recruitment Manager, WLS Radio, 190 North State Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60601, or fax your request to 312-453-0350.
Learn to avoid having a financial repeat of 2008. Listen to Securing Your Financial Future with the Goldstone Financial Group, Sunday mornings at 8.
The latest national news is just minutes away with ABC News updates at the top and bottom of every hour on 890 AM WLS. Jake Hartford on 890 AM WLS.
521. Awake with Jake. There is an election on Tuesday. No matter how you vote, be sure you vote. You know, a lot of people are getting killed fighting for our country over in Afghanistan, in Iraq. And I got to tell you, when I hear stories about how their vote may not count because the bureaucrats couldn't get the ballots to them. When was our primary? In February this year? I don't know why it took so long to get the ballots together. But I got to tell you, if their ballots aren't counted, that is a crime with a capital C. So we have men and women who are giving their lives fighting for our country. So if they want to vote, and you're right here, where it's easy for you to vote, the least you can do is vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for, just as long as you vote. Now, I promised I would tell the story today about the first dude is coming to town. And if you saw the Jon Stewart show the other day, he called President Obama dude, and the White House is okay with that. That's fine. They don't care. And my son told me about the show because he watched it, and he was an Obama person back 2 years ago. And people are looking at the polls for this Tuesday, and they talk about this big wave of Democrats who would be voted out of office, and it's like they can't believe it. And I saw the first seat of it, in my mind, was planted back in February of 2008 during the primary when Obama was running against Hillary. And he made the speech the night of the South Carolina primary about all the things he was going to do. He was going to get rid of the lobbyists and this, that, whatever. And then he went on, beat Hillary in the primaries, beat McCain in the general. And the day after he won, in November 2008, I was on the air at that station down the dial with Dick Kay. And I got to tell you, people there were just excited. Things were going to change. He was a new type of politician. He's going to bring people together. He's not racial. He's not nothing. It's just, it was nirvana. That's what it was. And I was the one voice saying, I don't think so. He's not going to be able to do it. There's no way he's going to keep the lobbyists out of it, because you know what? When he said he was going to keep the lobbyists out of Washington, I didn't see any of the other people, be they Republicans, Democrats, whatever, saying that they weren't going to be involved with lobbyists. I didn't see anybody hear that. But the first thing he did in January when he took office, he signed this thing about lobbyists, and then he had to ask for waivers for his own administration because he was hiring lobbyists. And then he had the stimulus, and I remember talking about these people that were voting on it who didn't read it. And I was poo-pooed like, well, Jake, you can't expect them to read what they're voting on. And I'm like, yeah, they're spending almost $1 trillion. Why can't they read what they're voting on? How long would it take? And then there was this thing about how all this stuff, every bill that comes before the president's desk, they were going to put on the internet so the people, the American people can see it for 5 years, for 5 days. Well, that didn't work. That's not happening. And then he talked about the earmarks. Oh, we're not going to have earmarks. Those little things that the Congress attaches to a bill where they can do things, little pet projects in their own district. He wasn't going to have earmarks. Well, the first bill that came to him and at February had over 8,000 earmarks on it. And he didn't get rid of them like he said he would. And I kept saying that the other place. I said, see, I told you. He's not different. And they would say, Jake, get out of here. You're not one of us. But I stayed, and I fought through it. And we went through the whole thing with the health care. And everybody talks about that Rick Santelli kind of started the Tea Party movement with his comments. And he kind of brought people together. But really got the Tea Party going was in the summer of 2009 when people were talking about this whole health care thing. And members of Congress, from Speaker Pelosi on down, were demonizing the people that were going to these town hall meetings with their congressmen. They were bad people, the evil people. Those are the Republicans. And what they didn't get in Washington is that there were more than Republicans going to these things. There were Democrats. There were independents, libertarians. There were people of all political stripes, people that weren't even political. They were just worried about their future. And they were being demonized by people in their own government. And it was as if the people in Washington, from the president on down, had a tin ear. And they wouldn't listen because they knew better. Forget those people. Those are just the troublemakers. Those aren't the real people. Well, they were the real people, and they are the real people. And the real people are unhappy. 70% are against the health care, and you're starting to see the problems with it. The president was on this week talking about, well, 30 million people will have health insurance. Well, you know what? It's over 30 million people, and they're not going to get health insurance this year. They're not going to get it next year. They're not going to get it in 2012. They're not going to get it in 2013. If they get it at all, it's going to be 2014. So if the whole idea, the whole simple single premise of doing health care was to give people health care who did not have it, well, then it's a failure. And I don't care how much selling he says. If he was able to sell it, people would love it. Well, you know what? That's the idea of trying to sell crap on a stick. He thinks he can sell crap on a stick if you sell it the right way. How did that work with New Coke? Remember New Coke? They had this formula that was working, and they decided, we're going to change it because we know better. And the people didn't like it. But Coke was smart enough to realize, in spite of all their advertising, that, you know what? The people don't like it. We're going to get rid of the New Coke. And what did Coke do? They were smart enough to go back to the regular Coke, the original. The only trouble is in Washington, the president and the leaders there aren't smart enough to go back and change the health care and change some of the other stuff they're doing. So they're going to be surprised. They're still surprised. When they look at the polls, they go, how could people hate us? Well, you know what? Get rid of the tin air. Look what you're doing. And maybe people would vote your way again. But they're not going to. I don't think this Tuesday they're going to. I think you're going to see Harry Reid gone and a whole bunch of people gone. And 6 months ago, when the polls showed like there maybe be 35 House seats going to the Republicans from the Democrats and maybe 1 or 2 Senate seats, I remember them saying, well, you know what? People will forget by November because we'll be able to sell the health care and people will love us and all that stuff. But people will forget. Well, people aren't forgetting. And they're going to the polls on Tuesday, and, boy, I can't wait to see the results. And I want to see the reaction of the people, the professionals in Washington, the politicians who said, this isn't going to happen. Well, it's happening. And it all started back in February 2008 when you make promises you can't keep because you're not a good leader. You're a seller, but you're not a leader. 5:29, back after this.
Awake with Jake Hartford, 890 AM, WLS.
When you step into the voting booth this Tuesday, ask yourself, what do you know about Jake Hartford? He says he was born in Chicago, but has anyone ever seen his birth certificate? Jake Hartford says he's happily married to a beauty queen, a former Miss Dill Pickle. Has anyone ever seen her? Or the marriage certificate? Jake Hartford's plan to close fast food drive-thrus has been called bad for business. The Moline Daily Register says it will make people walk inside for their food. That's dangerous. And the East St. Louis Picayune says his idea is reckless and bad for the environment. Jake Hartford has proposed making better use of our tax dollars. The Springfield Gazette calls that not just anti-American, but just plain wrong. Jake Hartford wants to take away dentures from our seniors. The Peoria Times-Tribune says that will make seniors gum their food. Even WLS talk show host Ro Khan calls Hartford morally bankrupt, reckless, dangerous, anti-American, wrong. Jake Hartford is bad for you. Bad for Illinois. Just plain bad. Just too extreme. and his older son plays hockey.
Politicians will do and say anything for your vote. Well, Don and Roma will buy it for $1,000. The Honest Bride, 5 till 9 a.m. on 890 a.m. WLS. Jake Hartford on 890 a.m. WLS.
535-591-8900 is the phone number. Let's get right to the phones. Tom in South Holland. Hello, Tom.
Morning, Jake. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Tom, yourself?
Not bad. You know, to me, you were talking a little bit ago about the ballots, servicemen going out late. To me, the most blatant and obvious thing that happened there was the fact that 30% of the ballots in Illinois didn't get out on time, okay? And it even ran up to as much as weeks late. Yet, they tell the servicemen it's mandatory that they have them postmarked by a certain date or else they're not going to count.
I know.
Now, that, to me, is the most unfair thing, and it's kind of pointing toward the fact that they did it deliberately. I mean, that, to me, if you were a lawyer...
I would really hate to think that the bureaucrats did that deliberately.
Well, how did this happen? 30% go out late, yet if they didn't do it deliberately, then why don't they be so lenient with the soldiers and say, look, we were so late, you get them back when you can, but up to a certain date, but not mandatory like they did, you know, on a close date.
Well, because they have rules.
Yeah, oh yeah, they have rules. The rules that they follow when they make campaign promises, like you were saying, and then they don't keep them.
Yeah, okay.
What, if you round up all those campaign promises they made and what they've done to our country in the last 2 years, if all things being fair and equal, if it was true, liar, liar, pants on fire, right now Washington would make Nero's Rome look like a small bonfire.
Here's what I don't understand. I don't understand a lot. Barney Frank.
Oh, God.
He's been 30 years in office. Massachusetts. He should be able to win in a cakewalk. He's a chairman of a committee. I heard last week he had to dip into his retirement fund, $200,000, and loan it to his campaign so he can try to win. Now, I can see John Kerry has millions and millions and millions of dollars. I don't think Barney Frank has that. So, I mean, if somebody has millions and they want to spend millions to get elected, I don't care. But if I'm Barney Frank and I don't have the millions and I have to go into my retirement fund to try to get elected again, is the job worth it? What is it with the job that you would risk your retirement for after 30 years?
If you really, really dig deep and watch all these sub-stories that go on year after year, if Barney Frank's been in there that many years as a politician in today's modern era, which is get in there and do as much damage as you can, but come out with as much money as you can, depending on how many bridges you build or how many highways you put in or how many exits to a toll road. And that exit to the toll road, I'm referring to that 2 years ago, they caught a congressman or a senator signing on to an exit to a toll road that was absolutely, positively unnecessary. But then they found out that the property it was going across was something that somehow or other he was connected to that he had purchased 2 years earlier. Now, see, all these stories come out, but on the lamestream news, they just fly right by. And nobody stands there and investigates these things. So if Barney has been there 30 years and doesn't have a pile of money in some Swiss bank account somewhere, he's been doing something wrong.
Well,
because that's why they take the job. I mean, everybody says they're taking it for the prestige. Are you got to be kidding? Look how many lobbyists are in Washington. Lobbyists don't come to Washington with empty pockets and say, geez, vote my way and we'll really like you a lot. No.
All right, here we go. I got a question for you. I'm going to give you a name. You tell me if this person's on the statewide ballot or they're an NBA player. Lee Allen Jones.
State ballot.
You're right. He's a Senate candidate in the Green Party. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Rick in Rossville. Good morning, Rick.
Hey, Jake. How are you this week?
I'm fine. Hope you're okay. What can I do for you?
You know what? Earlier, you had a caller. He went and was bringing up about Arthur Fonzarelli turning 65 years old. And there's always a good trivia question that goes with that. And that is that what person who was a former monkey, almost became, or was a shoo-in to be the Arthur Fonzarelli, but was let go. Instead, they took the one who played him.
Mickey Dolenz?
Mickey Dolenz, right.
No, I didn't know that, but when you said former monkey, that
right.
That kind of narrowed it down to 4 for me.
Right, exactly. Well, I figured, just get right to the point of which band star. I mean, he was real close. He was supposed to be a shoo-in, and I don't know exactly what happened, but ended up not getting it for some reason or another. So, but anyway, that was really all I had to say this morning, because I don't know, I keep living this Bobby Ewing dream with everything that's been going on and all that, and with the politics. Again, Jake, this Tuesday depends on the voter turnout. I mean, if there's not a high voter turnout, then everything is down the crapper.
Well, I got it. Here's the question for you. You tell me, is this person on the statewide ballot or on a WNBA roster? The name is Betty Lennox.
Oh, gee, I'd have to say, well, because of the name, Betty, I would say the NBA.
WNBA, you are correct.
So,
and you win nothing.
And you know what? That was another thing. When you start going around to different desks and start stealing stuff, because the pen that I got from you about 5-6 years ago
is out of ink,
along with the WLS T-shirt. It's out of ink, right? And the shirt is, the letters all fell off and everything else. I use it for a dust rag now.
I would like to, but they have a camera that follows me around from the moment I walk into the building. Make sure I don't take anything.
Not even a coffee cup? I mean, a dirty one even?
I have to go now, Rick.
All right. Thanks, Jake. Take it easy.
Let's go to William on the south side. Hello, William.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, William. What can I do for you?
Okay, very quickly, just want to say how we vote Tuesday. As far as the Tea Party is concerned, you have a lot of people that are running in the Tea Party who refuse to answer any questions now. So I was wondering what it's going to be like later. They even refuse to debate their opponents. And then quite a few of them made statements about using the Second Amendment solution to our problems. And if certain
who said that?
One of the Sharon Engel, she said that. And then
how did she? In what context?
She was talking about if certain legislation is passed in the context that they pass what we don't want, then a Second Amendment remedy may be necessary.
And what is a Second Amendment remedy?
She's talking about the guns and everything.
Is that what she said? I mean, is that what she said?
That's what she was talking about.
To do what with guns?
To overthrow the government. In fact, another guy.
She called for the overthrow of the government.
She didn't say it, but if you look at what she said, she's talking about a Second Amendment remedy to take care of the situation. And another guy who's running for office, I can't remember where it was. He mentioned that also. He said it's not the first option, but it's on the table.
Now, what paper reported this? Where did you read this?
I've seen it on television many times.
Because I've never seen that.
Well, you go and research it. She said the Second Amendment remedy. The second guy is a black man.
I will look this up.
I can't remember what office he's running for. He's not here, but he's in the country. I don't know exactly what office and what state he's from, but he said it also. Basically the same thing he said.
All right, let me ask you. Do you tell me if this person's on the statewide ballot or on a WNBA team? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sheila Simon.
I think she's on the statewide ballot.
Lieutenant Governor on the Democratic side. Thank you, William.
You're welcome.
Let's go to Mike in Buffalo Grove. Mike, you're on WLS.
I don't know, following two liberals in a row, that's going to be hard to do. But anyway, we tried to set up a debate with five of them and two of us and gave them 12 topics, and we get everything all set up. We actually offered to do something that they're not used to doing, us pay the way for everything to put everything together, and they decided at the last minute to drop out. They thought the topics were just too difficult.
Now, who is this?
Five liberals that we work with against two conservatives. We were going to do a little debate up here in Lake County.
Somewhere in your workplace?
No, off site. We were going to go to an establishment.
But these are people from work.
Yeah, and you kind of let them all get a listening of all the topics. Of course, we couldn't get the 5 of them. Just like the biggest thing they kept complaining was that's all your party does is filibuster, and you stop everything we want. It's like let me count the ways. You have 248 congressmen. We have 187. So how do we stop you? You have 60. We have 49 or 39 or whatever it was. How do we stop you? And it's all they kept. You come out with excuse after excuse after excuse, just like you started out your last or the end of your last area with the 8,900 earmarks. We'll never have earmarks. We had more earmarks, so we have more earmarks, so we have heads that the earmarks are attached to.
Well, see, that was the whole thing with the Obamacare, the health care debate. It was like the Republicans are stopping it. Republicans didn't have the votes to stop it. Where the problem was, in the House, there were two factions of the Democratic Party were at odds on what they wanted. That's where all the problems were coming.
Well,
and then after they passed it in the House, the Senate, they had a whole different idea what they wanted for health care, and that was controlled by the Democrats.
The House, when we passed it, is when the pro-life people became pro-choice. When they got their Stupak and his crew got that $600,000 worth of airplane equipment for his district, and all of a sudden a sound pro-life person became pro-choice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you buy votes like they do, I mean, how could you, it's hard to beat City Hall when City Hall buys its votes.
I'd agree with that.
It's not like at work we could buy extra sick time. You have to play on a level field. I mean, look at him in Springfield when he signed that bill 2 weeks ago for the 50,000 state union people not to get laid off till June of 2012. And you can't play, if you can't play in a legal field, you shouldn't be playing.
All right, here's the question. On the state ballot or WNBA? Andrea Riley.
WNBA.
Yeah, you're right. Plays for the LA team.
I got one more for you. Why are companies like 3M dumping the retirees starting 2012 from their health care?
Because I told you so.
Yeah, I mean they're the first, and then actually there's many other corporations that are getting ready to do that for the word keeps out there saying is we're not going to be the first one to dump all our employees, but we'll be the quickest one to second.
Well, back at the old place when all this all this discussion was going on, and that's what I predicted would happen. Companies would do it, and governments will do it. Well, they're just going to start saying we can't afford it anymore, and we're just going to go to it.
Well, 3M is the first one to do it.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
591-8900 is the phone number. We'll get back to your calls right after this in WLS.
Awake with Jake. Jake Hartford, 890 AM, WLS.
Where are we now? What are we going to do now? And who should do it?
Get the whole story here.
I think you're going to see a wave, an unprecedented wave.
He said the things we wanted to hear.
We can't be thinking that we got it in the bag.
You're right. They're wrong.
I will be listening.
This is a brutal fight.
Keeping you connected to the stories that matter most.
I'm going to vote.
That's not in my prepared remarks.
890 AM.
But it's true.
WLS.
I'm looking at the October specials on the Healthy Trinity site. There's one I love, Aroma Special. You buy one Healthy Trinity 90-count bottle, and you get a second Healthy Trinity 90-count bottle at 50% off. That's a great opportunity and incentive to buy and get everybody in your family on the right track toward good health. You'll love doing it. You'll save a little money at the same time, and even the number you call is toll-free. But be sure to ask for the Roma October Special, and you'll find out all about probiotics, the various ones they offer. Healthy Trinity is the one I choose because it's the simplest that has the 3 most important good bacteria your system needs. I urge you to try it today and take advantage of that special October offer. Call 1-866-462-8736, 866-462-8736.
Sweet Deal Chicago.
I love fall in Chicago. The colors and crisp air. Sports in transition. Cheers from the stadiums. And yes, cheers from my favorite showroom. You know it, Tom Paciorek for Rogers Auto Group. Being a longtime White Sox player and broadcaster, to me, the Windy City will always be a winner. Like Rogers Auto Group, famous for their no baloney, low price guarantee. Chosen Chicago's auto store, featuring Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Hyundai, and quality certified pre-owned vehicles. No reason to go anywhere else. It's all all here. Savings and service together, right at downtown's doorstep. And the convenience factor will also save you a ton of time. Take it from me, TP, Tom Paciorek. Get to Rogers Auto Group today. Chosen Chicago's auto store. Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Hyundai. In the new South Loop, 2720 South Michigan Avenue, and online at rogersautogroup.net.
Sweet Deal Chicago.
Rogers Auto Group, Chicago's auto store.
This is my campsite.
These are our hunting grounds.
These are the trees in my neighborhood. I promise to protect these trees. The emerald ash borer beetle kills trees. It lives in firewood.
I promise not to move firewood.
Never move firewood. Will you promise me?
The emerald ash borer beetle lives in firewood. Moving just one piece can unleash destruction. Get the full story and promise you won't move firewood at stopthebeetle.info. A message from the USDA.
Log on to WLSAM.com. Keyword deals to see what restaurants you can dine at for half price. Deals on demand. Half price certificates. Full priced experience.
Find out what's happening in the nation and around the world with ABC News updates at the top and bottom of every hour on 890 AM WLS. This is Jake Hartford on 890 AM WLS.
5:51, Awake with Jake. Sharon Engel in Nevada. We had a caller talk about the Second Amendment solution. And without getting into the whole deal, which was apparently taken out of context, ABC News talked to her, and the reporter said about that comment, and it says, and of course, Jefferson said the Tree of Liberty needs to be fed with the blood of tyrants from time to time. But can you foresee us getting into a situation where there is such anger in this country that we're in a revolutionary situation again? And she said, well, I think at the conclusion of that discussion, I said, I hope not. But then he went on to say, but you think it's possible? I mean, hoping. And she said, anything's possible, I suppose, but it wasn't hoping. So, you want to take something out of context, I guess you can. There was a lot of that being going on in this election. But she wasn't talking about, let's have a revolution, let's get the guns and let's get going. But it goes around the blogs and it just keeps going. Phil on the highway. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Jake. I love your show. I just have to agree with the guy that said that the soldiers don't get their ballots back in time, not for their fault, and then Illinois doesn't get their ballots out quick enough. And then now there's reports again of the voting machines are coming up. You vote Republican and it comes up Democrat. And Acorn is helping right along as always. They've got a lawsuit against Hannah Giles, the girl that exposed them. And I just don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. Tuesday is looking good, but if something funny comes up, we'll know that the deck was stacked against us.
Well, I would hope if somebody's committing vote fraud, no matter for what side, I would hope after the election they get prosecuted. What usually happens, you hear these stories, people get excited, and then the election comes and goes, and then they don't go after them and prosecute them. They should.
Jake, you saw on TV where these guys were standing around with billy clubs at the polling places.
That was in Pennsylvania last time.
I mean, it just seems like why do they get away with this? Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Somebody calling off the air wants to know when Don and Roma are going to be back. They will be back in 2 days. So I'm here today, and then they'll be back 2 days from now. Bob in Chicago. Hello, Bob.
Good morning, Jake.
How are you, Bob?
Hey, pretty good. That one caller had, and he had it all wrong, but, that particular viewpoint is often always all wrong. I mean, Sarah Palin would never get away with saying some nonsense like that. I mean,
well, that was Sharon Engel.
I know, but he said it was Sarah Palin.
Oh.
Yeah, well, what can I tell you? All right, so, it's a very easy decision on Tuesday. By the way, have you already voted yet?
No, I haven't.
Wait till you go in the booth with this Mickey Mouse, I said it, Mickey Mouse electronic machine. Do you know the kids from the University of Michigan hacked into this voting machine already?
University of Michigan kids are very smart.
Yeah. I think a 10th grade science student couldn't get into these machines.
I also heard, like on some of the touchscreen voting things, you shouldn't let your finger kind of wander over because you'll be voting all over the place.
You know what I want? I want a piece of paper with a box. And you put an X in the box, you know.
Yeah. Don't have a lot of coffee before you go because you'll be shaking too much and you'll be voting more than you want.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it's very simple. Now, this signal gets to Downers Grove, right? You get out to Downers Grove in the signal, right? Okay. It's very simple. Now, if you want the government to take care of you from cradle to grave, obviously you know what side to vote for, right? Now, personally, I don't want that. But if you think you can't take care of yourself, and that you want a bigger government, and you want more taxes, and you care less about the borders and national security, hey, that's an easy decision to make.
You know, it's one thing to want government to take care of you from cradle to grave.
Yeah.
But at some point, and you have to make decisions, you can't do it for everybody because somebody has to pay for it. Think of an inverted pyramid.
Oh, absolutely. What you got here is you got 2 or 3 people pulling the wagon, and there's about 7 or 8 people inside the wagon, okay?
I mean, everybody talks about, hey, let's not fool with Social Security, but you know what? Economically, it comes to the point, you look at the numbers, and you can't support everybody.
No, obviously you can't. You can't support it. This is going to, well, they want the system to collapse, but that's a whole other phone call. You know, it's very simple. Now, their motto was, yes, we can, yeah? Well, yes, we can doesn't get anything to count. Yes, I can. You take responsibility for yourself. You take care of yourself. You take care of your family. And they talk about us going, you know, we're stupid as dogs. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. We're dogs. We're know-nothings. We want to go back. You know, they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right. I want to go back. I want to go back to what founded this country, individual responsibility, and those type of rights. And that's what I want to go back to, because that's the only way you're going to get ahead. Now with this nonsense we're dealing with the last 2 years, it's the last 40 years. Really.
I would love people to be honest, be they Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever.
Yeah.
Look at the stimulus. Look at some of the money that was spent, some of the millions and millions of dollars, and some of the crap they spent it on.
Yeah.
And tell me if they really wouldn't wish they had some of their money back on that.
Well,
I mean, that's like going to buy a kid a toy for Christmas and it's broken the next day. Don't you ever wish, gee, I wish I saved my $12?
I don't even think they wish that. I think their agenda is a little bit different than what you think it might be. Obviously, this has been going on for the last 40 years. The last 2 years have crystallized it. Now, Tuesday might be a start, unless, of course, something funny happens. But Tuesday's a start, but it's going to take a long, long time to get back where we should be. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Didn't get to play the game with them. NBA are on the ballot. We will take more of your calls in the next hour. We have other stuff we're going to get to as well. Our phone number is 591-8900. You wish to be a Facebook friend, you can. You can ask at least. Go to Jake Hartford on Facebook. And the steering committee here may let you in, they may not. Sometimes they're tough, sometimes they're not. Also, you wish to text, you can, 68683. Just put WLSAM in the subject line, and I'll get the thing, and we may read some of those. Somebody from 219 said, you forgot to mention PAYGO. What a joke. Yeah, remember the PAYGO was that Congress couldn't trust themselves to not spend money they didn't have, so they said anything we spend, we're going to have to save. Well, that's not working either. They even passed a law to make it work, and it doesn't work. Anyway, we are done with this hour. We have one more hour to go. Don't forget Paul Bryan with Drive Chicago at 8 o'clock right here on WLS. And no Bruce and Dan today because there's Notre Dame football starting at noon with Chet Kopic right here on WLS.
Jake Hartford is on 890 AM WLS.